Coming to you from West Yellowstone, Montana, just outside of Yellowstone National Park, I'm Jason Epperson. This is RV Miles, and it's time to answer your questions about RVing and RV life. Welcome back, everybody. This has been one of my favorite episodes that we're now doing pretty much every month, where I go back and look through all the comments and answer some questions that are on your mind, some things that I missed, or some things that I think are interesting, or some things that I just have a unique answer for. So I first want to start off with a question from a news roundup video I did, one of the several news roundup videos that I did talking about Army Corps of Engineer campground closures across the country. Here's the comment. Why don't you tell the truth that this understaffing goes on a lot? The parks are going to be open this summer. Quit sounding the alarm that Donald Trump is closing the parks down. The shortage happens every year. Everything will be fine, and quit being a hypochondriac. I don't think that's what a hypochondriac means, but I don't think I ever said that national parks were going to be shut down. There are challenges with staffing across the country at National Park Service sites and other land recreation areas across the country. The National Park Service staff is down due to those deferred resignation offers. People were given the opportunity to quit their jobs and they got severance pay essentially. There's potentially going to be another major cut, although a judge has temporarily blocked it. It actually is supposed to be happening by today when this video is coming out, but this is something that's been planned since the beginning. This sort of 90-day hiring freeze that's now extended past 90 days was put in place by President Trump with the requirement that all the different land agencies, all the different agencies in the federal government put forth a plan to reduce their workforce. So a workforce reduction is planned. The sort of preamble to that was these deferred resignation offers and the firing of those folks that were probationary employees who eventually got reinstated. The thing that's happening in the Department of the Interior lands departments, including the National Park Service, is that those agencies have been ordered by the Secretary of the Interior to keep everything open. And they've also been given the authority to hire more seasonal workers. Those seasonal worker offers came late because there was the hiring freeze and some seasonal offers from last fall were rescinded. Most people that were going to be working seasonally would have already been hired by January. So it took a little time. There are still a lot of seasonal jobs available on usajobs.gov for folks who are interested in them. Great jobs for RVers, a lot of them. So will you see big changes in national parks? I don't know. I know there have been some issues in places that sort of then get fixed, and that's going to happen. One of the big things that happened a while back was that all the credit cards across the federal government, the sort of petty cash credit cards where a park ranger could go buy trash bags or something like that at a hardware store, were cut off. And they'd have to go to the regional office, not even their park superintendent. They'd have to go to the regional office to get somebody to go, to a hardware store, to a grocery store, whatever, to buy supplies for a certain thing. There have been issues here and there with that. There have been issues here and there with parks that need water delivery, not getting water delivery because the contractor was let go, or not getting trash service. Most of those issues are being fixed here and there. There might be more issues going forward. This video wasn't about that, though. This video was about the Army Corps of Engineers. And the Army Corps of Engineers is the second largest campground operator in the world, next to the U.S. Forest Service. And they are not under the Department of the Interior. So they have not been under this sort of you must keep everything open edict from the Department of the Interior. So there have been lots and lots of closures announced in press releases from the different Army Corps of Engineers districts. You might not know of your local recreation area as an Army Corps of Engineers site, but there are lots of these places that are your local lake or your local river. The Army Corps of Engineers manages mainly dam projects around the country, and then they operate campgrounds on those lands. So look, I'm not trying to make a political statement here. I'm just trying to tell people what's going to be open and what's going to be closed, and be as forthright about that as possible. A lot of Army Corps of Engineers sites are going to be closed across country. And speaking of the next comment that I wanted to cover, where can I find a list of COE campgrounds that will be closed? I did find a list. I actually found a website that compiles all of these, but they don't have all the Army Corps of Engineers sites listed. Essentially, they have a chart, though, that shows what's open and what's closed at all the recreation lakes, which is most of the Army Corps of Engineers sites. So you can scroll through that and look at it. One caution, though, you're going to see a lot of stuff listed as a seasonal closure, meaning it's still closed for the winter and eventually it's about to open. a lot of these press releases have been about those sites that were seasonal closures, saying essentially that they're not going to open up after the seasonal closure would be scheduled to end. So you still got to double check all this stuff. So bottom line, if you're going to an Army Corps of Engineers site this summer, double check your reservations, double check that they're going to be open, and keep checking because things change regularly. More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at RV Life. The RV lifestyle is about community, and the RV community is at the heart of RV Life. RV Life recently celebrated the 1 millionth trip planned with RV Life Trip Wizard, their excellent trip planning tool for RVers, featuring all the trusted reviews, pictures, and tips from their RV Life Campground site. RV Life also features several blog sites and over 20 additional RVing forums to serve the RV community. All this experience and community feedback come together to help create a fantastic RV trip planner and mobile navigation tool collectively called RV Life Pro. RV Life has marked a milestone of over 3 billion miles traveled using RV Life Pro, counting both the planned RV trips and ad hoc navigation within the included RV Safe mobile app. Take 25% off RV Life Pro at the link in the description for this episode. This was on a news roundup that was talking about the health of the RV industry. It would be nice if more RV components were manufactured in the USA. It seems that cheap Chinese parts fail too soon. Does anyone want an RV built with Temu parts? Here's the thing. RVs are made in America. And you might say, oh yeah, Jason, but they're just assembling them from parts made from China. No, most of the parts on an RV are from the US. There's a lot of exceptions to that. I'd say about half of the air conditioners on RVs are made in the US. The other half are going to be made in China or Taiwan or somewhere else like that. A good amount of the refrigerators in RVs and the water pumps are going to be made out of the country. But a lot of the stuff that you think is made out of the country is often not. The circuit panel boxes, the outlets, the jacks, the jack motors, the frames are all manufactured in the US. And a lot of people think they're made with foreign steel, and that's really not true either. Actually, Lippert Components makes most of the frames that are on RVs out there, and most of the steel they use is American steel. They're one of the most made in America large items that you can buy out there. Does that say anything about the quality? I don't know, but that's the case. Okay, several comments from a video that I didn't really expect people to have so much to say about, and it was a video about using and cleaning your RV toilets. And I had a hunch that a lot of people just weren't using them correctly because nobody told them how to. So I thought I would make that video, and I did. And I was really surprised by a lot of the comments, but there were a few questions that I do want to answer. Jason, could you use hot shower water and the sprayer head to reach the toilet for hot power toilet collar blaster? We were talking about how that collar between the toilet and your black tank can get kind of gross. Here's the thing. You know that ring in your shower that holds back the hose up against the wall? That's actually not there for that reason. That's there to keep you from doing this, to keep you from using your shower wand as a toilet sprayer because of sanitary reasons. It's part of the RV building code that they have that little ring in there. Now, maybe it's a little bit of nannying. You could use that sprayer if you wanted to spray your toilet. Just, try to make sure you don't get any toilet germs onto the sprayer. You can unscrew the shower head from the hose, just pull it right out of that ring and screw it back on, and then you can use your shower head to spray in your toilet if you wish. Why absolutely no mention of wearing gloves when doing maintenance on the toilet? You wear gloves when you dump your tanks, so why not when cleaning the toilet? I don't wear gloves when I dump the tanks, and I know there are a lot of people on the internet that give people a hard time for that. I see comments in Facebook groups. Can you believe I saw somebody today dumping their tanks without wearing gloves? Here's my comeback to that always. Do you wear gloves when you wipe your butt? No. You wash your hands. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I personally feel cleaner not monkeying around with gloves and just washing my hands. It's the only thing I really use my outdoor shower for. I just wish more RV companies would put a water pump switch by the outdoor shower and in the bathroom is the only two places we need the water pump switch. For when we need to wash our hands after we're flushing the tanks and for when we use the toilet and we forgot to turn the water on, it's nice to have a switch there. But no, just wash your hands, folks. I have no issue cleaning the toilet, working on the toilet, whatever, without gloves on. Thoroughly wash your hands afterwards. We have that same toilet seat, the plastic toilet seat. We have a ceramic toilet, but it's got the plastic toilet seat with the fins underneath that are hard to clean. We have that same toilet seat, and we want to replace it with a porcelain seat or a plastic seat with a flat surface. In a world of perfection, it would also be soft close seat. Any suggestions? I've been looking and can't seem to find a replacement. Well, Dometic, who makes this toilet and makes a lot of your toilets, does make a replacement seat. It's actually wooden. Most toilet seats at home are painted wood. So you can get a wooden toilet seat from Dometic that is a soft close that fits on this porcelain toilet. It's $75. What about when you winterize the RV? Is it okay to leave some of the pink RV antifreeze in the bowl? Yes, that's absolutely what you should do. When you flush the toilet, to allow the antifreeze to come through the toilet and into the toilet, you just leave a little bit in there, and that helps keep any smells from coming up from your black tank. Okay, a couple questions from the video I did on diesel fuel and all the things you need to know about when using diesel fuel, and there are a couple things that I missed there. A couple really interesting questions. Does Baja have ultra low sulfur diesel, Baja, Mexico? And what happens if they don't? Ultra low sulfur diesel is what's sold in the US and what you're supposed to be using in any of your US diesel vehicles. So I did a lot of research on this, and there's a lot of speculation on the internet about the diesel in Baja. But from what I can gather, pretty much all of the diesel available in Baja California, the northern of the two Baja states, is all ultra low sulfur diesel. However, when you head into Baja California Sur, which is the lower half of Baja California, it's mostly low sulfur diesel and not ultra low sulfur diesel. A lot of people report that they go down there, they use it, a couple tanks of it, doesn't really cause any problems. Non-ultra low sulfur diesel, that is a really hard thing to say. Non-ULSD can cause some damage to modern diesel trucks, particularly like the DPF. It can clog filters and stuff like that. But using a couple tanks of it, you're probably okay with. It's probably against your warranty. If you do have some sort of fuel problem and they test your fuel and you use the wrong fuel, you might have an issue there. So it's still a challenge. From what I understand, more and more stations offer it, but most of the stuff in the upper half of the peninsula comes from the US, and that's why it's already ULSD. And most of the stuff in the lower half of the peninsula is shipped over from mainland Mexico and is just regular low sulfur diesel. I'm surprised you did not include or talk about top tier diesel. Who sells it? Look up top tier diesel fuel performance standard revision A, February 2017. Okay, top tier fuel is what all vehicle manufacturers in the US recommend that you use in gasoline and diesel vehicles. Top tier is sort of an alliance of vehicle manufacturers. They pay for this program that certifies fuel as top tier. And what that means is it's got additional additives, cleaners that those auto manufacturers think are necessary to keep those engines running properly. And I will always recommend in a gas vehicle that you get top tier fuel wherever you are. It should say top tier on the pump. Top tier doesn't mean highest octane. It means it's gone through this certification process. Diesel fuel, because of a lot of things, mainly the diesel fuel supply chain. A lot of times, if you're at a station, the diesel fuel they're selling is not whatever that name brand is. The diesel fuel is kind of a little bit more homogenized. The way it's shipped and delivered is quite different from gasoline, to my understanding. So that's why I recommend, and a lot of people will recommend, that you just go to a diesel station that sells diesel on the regular. They've got a lot of turnover, a lot of people using those pumps, that diesel isn't sitting still. It's near impossible to find top tier diesel in the US. The only place that really sells top tier diesel is Costco, and not a lot of Costco stores actually have diesel fuel. I know my local Costco doesn't, and a lot of the ones I've been to don't have diesel. So I'd love to recommend top tier diesel. I wish the program had sort of expanded more into the diesel world, but it just hasn't. So I thought there was really no reason to talk about it because it's just not readily available. One cannot talk about diesel for rookies without talking about how many diesel slave pumps operate. Yes, I missed this. When you're going to a truck stop and you're using the truck pumps, when you start the pump, whether you've done it with the cart or you've had to go inside to have them start it for you, there's usually a pump on either side of the vehicle. And that's a big plus for RVs who don't have the fuel door on the left-hand side. And mainly what it's for is for truckers to be able to fill both tanks on either side of the truck at the same time. But if you want to just use one side, it's real easy to do. All you do is start the pump, take the nozzle off, lay it on the ground, and then go use the nozzle on the other side. Works like a charm. This is a comment from the video tour of our Sabre 37 RV Miles fifth wheel. Nice job, thanks. Is not having slide-out awnings a personal choice, or are you going to install some? I definitely choose not to have slide-out awnings. And, you know, I'm healthy enough and comfortable enough getting up on a ladder to sweep off the top of the slides if need be, if I'm parked under trees like I am now. But slide toppers are fine if you like them. They can really make a lot of noise in the wind, and they can rip off in the wind. It happens. And we do sometimes end up in really windy areas. It's been quite windy out here in Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. And I don't need them, not really interested in them, but I see the benefit for people who want them. This is from the video about using the Anderson hitch, which is sort of a pyramid that has a ball on it that acts like kind of like a gooseneck adapter. So you're raising a goose ball up higher. And we now have a new fifth wheel hitch from Blue Ox, which is a similar type of design. It's quite different in a lot of ways, but essentially instead of a traditional fifth wheel hitch where you back up right onto the kingpin, you actually lower the kingpin into a funnel and it locks in that way. And I've been very happy with it so far. I'm going to do a full review on it, but it rides so great. But the question was, why not just put a gooseneck adapter on a fifth wheel? I don't think this person is referring to these sort of replacement pin boxes that can attach to a goose ball. And those are great. Companies like Gen Y make an awesome pin box replacement that attaches right to a goose ball. But some companies sell a fifth wheel to gooseneck adapter, which is essentially a column. And all of the RV manufacturers, all the frame manufacturers say do not use those. It will void your warranty, at least the frame portion of your warranty, because that's a lot of stress. So if you have a column like that just comes straight down without the sort of big pin box coming down the side of it, that is sort of an angular gusset that's providing a lot of strength. When you've got just that vertical piece, that is putting a lot of stress back and forth this way on your pin box and the entire overhang area of your fifth wheel trailer. So I highly, highly recommend not using a kingpin to goose ball adapter. And this was from the last question roundup video. I said, if you got any questions, ask them. And if you do have any questions, ask them. This one's about content creation. So those of you that are interested in content creation, what video processing software do you use? Final Cut Pro, iMovie, Adobe Premiere, something else? I use something else. I use DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is a really great program, especially if you're new to editing and you want something that is free. Their free version is very, very, very powerful. But then they have the paid version that's $300 lifetime that is quite a bit more powerful and is professional. It's what all professional cinema color graders use essentially at this point. And it's a really great software. I love it. And I love that I paid $300 one time and I'm not paying Adobe 40 bucks a month, 50 bucks a month, 70 bucks a month to use Adobe products. So I use DaVinci Resolve. Check it out. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for being here. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments. If you got something on this video, hit the like button. If you want more like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.